I'm Rodney Medina, and today we're talking retirement. Retirement? Yeah, retirement. You know, everybody at some point in their lives thinks about that day. How about you? Are you ready? Are you prepared? You know, as an employer, are you prepared to offer your employees a retirement plan? That's what we're going to be talking about today. You know, June 22nd, 2022, that's an important date here in California, especially for employers. That's the date when all California businesses with 5 or more employees are mandated to provide access to a retirement plan for their employees. Well, today we have Colby McFadden from Quiver Financial, who's going to share with us what we need to know, what you need to know about this newly mandated retirement program called the Cal Savers Retirement Savings Program. Thank you for joining us today, Colby.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Rodney.
So tell me first, I mean, finance is one of those things that I guess people find their way into it. How did you find your way into the finance business?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. It's been an evolution over time, but it started young. It started with a pair of shoes, actually. So there was a point in my life as I was hitting late elementary school and early junior high that I realized that that the opposite sex kind of likes you to look good, right? And so I started to realize that, you start, and this was right around the time that GQ was starting to be a big thing, and it was probably on hindsight the beginning of like metrosexuality, like
Richard
guys,
Gere.
Yeah, like guys actually like paying attention to what they were wearing. And I was growing up in a family that was living in a upper middle class neighborhood, but we were far from upper middle class. There was no being born on third base here. And so I really wanted a pair of shoes that everybody else had, and we couldn't afford to get them. And my father was adamant, we're not spending money on shoes. And so at a young age, I kind of, like in that instance, I kind of just had this little trigger in my head and started to form a little bit of part of my money personality where I thought to myself, okay, well, you know what? If money's the issue, then let's not make money an issue.
Right.
And so that started the path, and as I got into adulthood and I got my first business, and that business was nowhere near finance whatsoever. That business was window tinting, and we had built a business that was decent enough to sell. And at that moment, I was at a young age selling my first business and realized, okay, it's one thing to make money. What do you do when you have to manage the money? And then that started me on a path of just finding out what's a stock, what's a bond, what's an annuity, what's this kind of investment, what's a savings account. Because at that particular moment in my early 20s, I had no idea what any of those things were. I just was trying to make money like everybody else. And so that eventually evolved into finding some very good mentors. I got very lucky. I went out there and started interviewing with all the usual suspects of the financial industry, the Dean Witters back in the day and the Smith Barneys. And I was very lucky to come across a couple of mentors that showed me how to manage accounts, how to work with clients, how to build a business. And that's what got us started.
I find it quite amazing that we don't learn any of those skills in our school system. Because those are, you just said, I didn't have any of those. I didn't know any of those terms. I didn't know about saving, investing, and that's something that really goes against our capitalistic society. So hopefully you'll be a mentor to some people out here listening today and inspire them to learn more, especially the young folks, because they're the ones who really need to put that in their quiver. So that's the term, right? The quiver, when your bow and arrow, right?
Yeah, you got to have a lot of stuff in your quiver.
So that's how the name. Is that how the name came about? Tell me about Quiver Financial.
Sure. So back to what you're saying, that we're not taught these things in school. If you think about it, as you age, there's two things that become the most important thing, which is your health and your finances. And, those are the two things they really don't talk about in school is how to have healthy finances and how to have a really good health. Sure, you might get one class, but they don't put a whole regimen around it, even in college, unless you decide to focus on those things. So as I went into business and we started managing accounts for people and managing money, what I was learning, it was in the real world, was far different than what I learned in the licensing process. Because in our business, you have different licenses. And as you're getting your licenses and you're learning the business, you're really taught certain factors about diversification, this, that, the other thing. And as I started working in the industry and went through my first bear market, my first bad market, I started to realize, you know what? Things are done a different way. And that's where the idea of Quiver Financial came out, because we sat back after that first bear market, and this was back in 2003.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask what period of that was.
Yeah, so I came into the business in 1996 timeframe, and so that first 3 or 4 years, we were in a raging bull market going into the dot-com era, and everybody, there was euphoria. Everybody thought, oh God, this is a new paradigm.
Exciting times.
Exciting times, exactly. And so from 2000 to 2002, that bubble burst. And the economy was fine, right? But the stock market really overreacted. And so we had gone through a bear market. And back to the mentor thing is I got very lucky, because in January of 2000, markets started to fall apart April. January 2000, my mentors came into my office and said, you know, Colby, we've been managing money a long time. And we have never seen anybody make as much money, and we ourselves have not made as much money as we have in the last few months. It can't last. We're moving to more safety. And I followed along because they were my mentors, and markets fell apart, and I now had a new problem. I had a problem that my clients now thought I knew what the hell I was doing, right? Because anybody can make money when markets are rising. It's you know, when the tide's rising, all boats go higher. But if you can preserve capital or even make more capital when you're in a bear market and when the tide's working against you, that's a whole different set of tools and talents. And all of a sudden now we had a new expectation from our clients to do things that most people weren't able to do. And quite honestly, the first time it was luck. It was just common sense. It
was timing, though, right? For you, where you were, who you were helping at the time, and the economy.
Right place, right time. You know, let's call it a blessing.